Hello, and welcome to Coaching Conversations with Coach Pam. And this month of August, we have an exciting theme that we're going to be focusing on. And our theme for the month is on energy and action. And so I know it's summertime, and this is the time that we typically take to have some downtime or to recharge. But I want to challenge you to start thinking about how you want to show up. And how do you need to rearrange things to ensure that you are maximizing your full potential? And I say all that to say because today's topic is going to be on how to recognize and combat burnout in your career. And burnout can show up in many ways. And, when you think about burnout, um, it's really about stress. And it's the overwhelmingness, if that's even a word, that we feel when we are being challenged with a bunch of things. And so, before we jump into this, let me pause here and say that as I will be sharing my own experiences and triggers for myself, I am not a doctor, nor am I here to provide a diagnose. However, I am here to share some of my own insights from personal experience, as well as just some research and talking to others in my circle and some of the challenges that they have faced when it came to feeling burnt out. And so, with that, you are not alone because this creeps up on us and it challenges us in many different ways. And so, I want to just bring light to this topic and help us to come up with some strategies for you to take action. And so let me start by asking you a question. When was the last time you felt genuinely energized and excited about your work? I'll give you a moment. If you're finding it hard to recall, you might be experiencing burnout or feeling overwhelmed and stressed. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So grab a notepad and a pen and get ready to take some notes. And I have failed to introduce myself other than Coach Pam. I am a coach and I work with mid-career professionals, new and existing coaches on really helping them to align with their true north, their North Star, and helping them to accomplish the goals that they set out to accomplish for themselves. Many of the individuals that I do connect with are feeling stuck, stagnant, and they are uncertain. And I help them to gain clarity and purpose and to do it with confidence. So let's get into our topic for today. The first thing we want to talk about is understanding burnout. And burnout isn't just a feeling of tired after a long week. Maybe you've had some travel, maybe you had some back-to-back days, but that's not what burnout is. It's just not about being tired at the end of the week, but it's a state of stress, chronic stress that leads to physical and emotional exhaustion. It's also a feeling of reduced accomplishment. So you feel like you're not making progress or you're maybe taking two steps back. It's like the get up and go that you had once upon a time has left the building, leaving you in a state of blah. You just don't know what you don't know. And so here are a few symptoms to watch out for, and maybe some of these connect with you. Constant fatigue. Are you constantly feeling fatigued, drained, no matter how much rest or sleep that you're getting? Or what if it's lack of motivation? The energy and the enthusiasm that you once had for a job has dwindled. It has just died. Irritability. Even the smallest and the simplest of things are causing you to go off, to just be irritated. Or there may be a sense of detachment. You feel disconnected from the work that you have done. And maybe you've done this work for a period of years that maybe it's become so mundane to you. And so you're beginning to feel a little bit of detachment and declining performance. So maybe there were tasks that you once did that came easy to you are now feeling like a burden. Sounds familiar? As mid-career professionals, and especially us who are coaches, so whether you're a new coach or you are an existing coach, we all have felt that struggle juggling our day to day. So whether it's work, family, or our own aspirations, it's no wonder that oftentimes this burnout just creeps up on us. And the first thing to do to really help us to take action for it is to recognize it. So let's shift gears here and let's talk about some of the triggers. Here's a question for you to think about. What's causing you to act out of character? What's irritating you? So, is it those never-ending to-do lists that grow like weeds? I am a list person. I love to write things down and cross things off, as they're getting done. But it just seems like my list is just not, getting shorter. It's like it's getting longer. So I definitely feel you on the lists are just constantly growing like weeds. Or maybe it's the unrealistic deadlines that make you feel like you're sprinting in a marathon when it's supposed to be we're in a marathon where we're pacing ourselves and we're not in a sprint. So maybe you're having that opposite feeling. And so let's explore, some of the things that may be the cause of this. One to think about is reflect on your daily routine. Are there tasks or interactions that you are having throughout the day that is causing you to feel drained? Have you ever experienced this? You're having a meeting with someone, and after that call, you feel wiped out, or is that just me? I've experienced that, and I'm sure you have too. And so you may want to begin to pay attention to when the mood shifts or when you feel a spike in stress. What activity did you just complete? Like what's going on around you? So maybe start keeping a journal and jotting down those moments because this can begin to help you to pinpoint what's really happening. Another thing to consider when you're thinking about triggers is evaluate your work environment. Take a look at what's going on around you. Is it supportive? Do you feel like you're in survival mode? Or is it not just the workload, but the lack of support and resources that that you're feeling burnt out, like the flame has been lit and now you're trying to figure out how to get everything done. It's kind of doing more with less. Think about the dynamics of that and what's happening around you. Um, just start, taking a view, being observant. Start observing these things and see where you end up. And again, as you're journaling and writing these notes, and kind of keeping watch of what's going on, you'll begin to maybe start pinpointing what's causing you to feel overly stressed. And lastly, when we think about triggers, check your work-life balance. Now, I have mixed feelings when it comes to the word balance because, it appears and it seems like something is going to get more priority than the other, and something is going to outweigh the other. And so I like to think about work-life priorities. Where are your priorities? What is important to you? Are you giving yourself enough time to recharge? Or is work creeping into every corner of your life? Do you close out your computer and still have work on your mind? You're still thinking about the email that you didn't send, or you're thinking about the phone call that you didn't make. What's happening with that work-life priorities? So recognize that there may be an imbalance that is going on, and that can be crucial to addressing whether you are dealing with some burnout, and you may need to do some things about that. So let's jump into the strategies that's going to help us to take action against being burnt out and feeling overly stressed. So, how can you fight back against burnout and start reclaiming your energy and enthusiasm? So, first tip is, and I'm sure you've heard of this, it is called the Pomodoro technique. And this technique is designed for you to do 25 minutes of work followed by 5 minutes of rest or break. So basically, you get a timer. You can do it on your phone, or if you have a timer on your computer, set the timer for 25 minutes, get some work done in that time frame, and then when the timer goes off, then you could take a break. And then you just repeat the process until you get things done. Now, 25 minutes may be a short period of time, but try it and see if that works for you. I like doing this method and I extend it to an hour or maybe even 2 hour blocks because then that way I'm more focused within that time frame and I can get a good chunk of the things I need to get done accomplished in that time. And then I may go and take a 30-minute break. So just give myself an opportunity to step away. So you try it and you determine what works best for you. The next thing is to prioritize self-care. Now, this isn't just about the spa days, which are amazing, where you can go and get a facial or a body massage. Like, I love those things too. But it's also about making time for activities that recharge you. Is it having playtime with your children if you have children? Is it reading a favorite book? Is it catching a series on Netflix? What is that thing that helps you to have a moment of downtime and helps you to recharge? Maybe it's even as simple as having a quiet moment with a cup of tea and just being in your thoughts for that time. So schedule it like any other important thing. Remember, we talked about priorities. So make it a priority and something that's non-negotiable for you and put it on your calendar. Schedule it for yourself so that you know when that time comes, it's time for you to take a break and prioritize your self-care. And the last thing we'll talk about when we consider some strategies is setting boundaries. Decide what is non-negotiable. Now, I mentioned that when I just mentioned about prioritizing your self-care and making that a non-negotiable. Now, here's, where we're talking about non-negotiables again around setting boundaries. So what is that for you? What boundaries do you need to set? What are some things that is getting in the way where you feel like you need to set up some parameters? And so that could be no work emails after 7. Yeah, I know that might be hard for some of us, but sometimes we have to do it because our own well-being is meaningful to us. And we have to put these parameters in place. Maybe it's blocking out a time for a lunch break every day. Maybe 12 to 1, no meetings. Or, you step away from your desk and go have lunch. And especially if you're working from home, I know I'm guilty of this. I'll go into the kitchen and grab a salad or a sandwich, and then I go back to my home office and eat while I'm working. And what purpose is that serving me, right? So I'm there too, and I definitely feel you. But again, it's important for us to have those boundaries that we set for ourselves. And then, especially if you're in a work environment, in an office setting where, you're working with a team, it may be helpful to share the boundaries that you have set, whether it's, not checking emails after a certain period of time or taking a lunch break, and just having some other parameters and boundaries that's going to help you to be more productive in your workday. So we have talked about a couple of things here as we begin to wrap this up. We just finished about some strategies to help you to recognize and take action against burnout. And so remember, it's taking small steps that can have a big impact. And it might be challenging at first. So just start with one thing, What is one thing that you can do to help you minimize the feeling of being overstressed and burnout? What's one thing you can do that you can put into practice starting today? Is it the Pomodoro by blocking out chunks of time on your calendar to focus and be productive and then take a break? Or is it prioritizing some kind of self-care for yourself? And it might just be even deciding you're going to go out for a walk during the lunch hour if it warrants that, or you're going to step away from your work desk and go and have lunch. Whatever that is, think of one thing that you can do to begin to start thinking about taking better care of yourself. And so, let me just reiterate here again that I am not a doctor. And I am not here to diagnose. But again, I share some of my own experiences of what I have dealt with when it came to feeling burnout and some of the strategies that I've taken, in addition to just having some conversations with individuals in my circle and just getting some thoughts from them as well as what I've shared with you today. Now, if you are taking some of these strategies, you've done some things and nothing is working for you and you are feeling overwhelmed, overstressed, overly stressed, I should say, and it's beginning to impact your day to day and you are not feeling like yourself, get professional help. Seek a professional who can help you to kind of dig into the weeds of that and really help you to get to a better place for yourself. That is definitely something to take seriously if it is beginning to impact your day to day. Get the support and get the help that you need. And outside of that, if you are at a place where, you're not totally burnt out, but you do feel like there's some areas that you can work on, then that's where I can come in to help you as your coach. And so I would love an opportunity to partner with you to really help you to start strategizing and thinking about the boundaries that you may need to set and to start thinking about ways to prioritize yourself and putting yourself in the equation. And so, I'm happy to do that. So reach out and let me know how I can best support you. Next week, we are going to be talking about time management. So we would dig into a little bit more about how to manage your time. So with that said, I thank you so much for taking time to listen to my audio today on how to recognize and combat burnout in your career. And so keep elevating your potential and exceeding your limits, and we will talk next time. Take care.